Do you think that was the biggest robbery in UFC history?
Yeah. I was fucking hurting after that fight. I just think he talks shit, pushes all the wrong buttons, and he's doing all the wrong things.
Ruled the world with his striking and resilience in the octagon across multiple weight classes, over 40 professional fights. Ladies and gentlemen, Ross Pearson, thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming up, man. It's good to see you guys, and happy to be a part of it.
We're just going to ask you, how do you like your haircut?
Short back in Sunderland, this is called. Short, skiing, fade. I don't like a lot. I like short hair. I've had a skinhead for a long time, and now I've just mellowed into a little bit on the top.
Easiest thing to manage.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Noah, I'll let you do your magic. Our first question for today is, how did you get into the sport? What triggered it for you?
Well, I started in martial arts at 5, Taekwondo. Got my black belt at Taekwondo at 9. Then I moved into judo. I got a brown belt at judo. Then all through my teens, I boxed. I was mixed martial arts training when I didn't even know what mixed martial arts training was. I just always knew that combat sports was the only thing that I was good at. It was the only thing that I excelled in at a young age. And I was about 16, just coming out of school, when I first got involved in mixed martial arts. I first started training with Ian Freeman. He was the first ever British UFC fighter.
So you were in England at the time?
Back home in England.
Yep.
Yeah. Started training with them guys. Had a fight far too soon. I was just a young, hungry kid that wanted to fight.
Is that the one in 2004?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like you had a pro fight and then went back to amateurs.
Yeah, so what happened was, at the time, I was boxing for the novices, and then I started training MMA with Ian Freeman and them guys, and then I jumped in. I got offered a fight, and I jumped in just because
Why not?
it sounded like the cool thing to do at the time, but I didn't actually have a clue what I was doing. And I had a fight. And the guys that I was training with at the boxing gym, they were like, look, if you want to do this, you have to do it properly. You got to learn how to wrestle. You got to learn how to grapple. So I took a bit of time coming back before I went back into we have amateur, semi-professional and professional in England, where in Australia, it's just amateur and professional. Our semi-professional is amateur here. So it's the same rule sets as what you have. So I had I don't know, maybe like 10, 11 of them fights before I went back into fighting in the pro ranks.
As a semi-professional, you had 10 fights?
10 or 11, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like 40 pro fights, like, to me, that is awesome. That experience, like, no matter what your record is, whether you're 40-0 or 20-20, if someone's had 40 professional fights, like, that is...
Yeah.
You have to hold them to a high respect because they've gone through a lot of shit that you have not gone through.
Yeah, it's experience. It's experience, it's time, and it's experience in them 40 fights. And I started at the bottom. I started domestically, fighting guys that also didn't have a clue, to going all the way up to fighting the Masvidals, the Barbosas, that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
each time you step up, the level gets better, the experience gets higher, the training gets harder. And I did that from 16 years old.
Was there any people that you looked up to when you were younger, coming to the sport?
Yeah. So when I was coming out of school, and UFC wasn't big in England. It was just like, it was on VHS still. We would get, like, it wasn't shown on TV, so we would like get the cassettes and we'd get the Pride fights and stuff like that. So I used to be I used to love Ricardo Arona in Pride. I used to love Vitor in Pride. And then in the UFC, of course, you had your Randys, your Chucks, your Titos, Matt Hughes.
The real OG
Yeah,
crew.
the OGs are like the guys that I looked up to, just as like the guys, the young kids now who are looking up to Conor and Leon Edwards, you know what I mean? All the kids, it's that I was in that generation of the kind of like the birth of the sport.
Yeah, so when you first started watching, was it Pride or was it the UFC?
Now, the very first MMA fight I watched was UFC, It was like UFC 1.
Yeah?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember getting the cassette and watching it, and it was just like, at the time, I was probably like, I don't know, maybe like 10 or something.
Yeah.
9 or 10. And I remember watching it and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't
In a good way or a bad way?
I just didn't understand it.
Okay.
I just didn't understand. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I didn't understand. I didn't even think it was a sport. I didn't understand because I was so young.
wild, yeah.
I just didn't, and it wasn't like, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
I was still just in the learning stages of martial arts. I didn't realize that what I wanted to do until I was like maybe like 12 or 13 once I started boxing. And that when I was boxing at that age, that was the first time that I knew like, look, I want to be a fighter. I want to box. I want to fight. That was my goal all the way through school, was to box.
Combat.
Yeah.
Yep. So you 40 pro fights, like I mentioned. Do you know how many amateur boxing fights you've had?
I think I had maybe like 35.
Yeah?
Yeah, about 35 amateur boxing fights.
See, when I call it, I'm going to count every single fight. Like, a fight is a fight. So you've 70, 80, like,
Yeah.
that number is awesome.
I was literally competing, even though it was just like taekwondo, judo, like the traditional martial arts, I've been competing since I was 5 years old.
Really drilled it into your head.
That's all I knew. That's all I didn't go to school. I used to cut school to go to the gym to train.
Yeah.
There was something, I don't know what it is. I don't know how it got there, but it's just, that's what I knew what I wanted to do. And nothing else mattered. I was pretty selfish in the fact that nothing else mattered. I didn't care about anyone else. I didn't do anything else but train and get ready for what I thought at the time was just fun.
If you want to excel at anything, you have to be selfish.
Yeah, and I was just a young kid. I got signed to the UFC when I was 23. I was
that's
a
very
young kid.
Wow.
I wasn't even a man. I was still just a young kid, but I was just like hungry. I just wanted to do it.
Loved it.
Yeah, loved
That's
it.
how old I am now, so 23.
Yeah, and
a lot of years ahead.
The gates is just open for guys like yourself. The gates, there's a lot more people now who do this sport, so the level of the sport has risen because more people do it.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
The pathway and the gateway to doing it is a lot more clearer.
You've got a lot more resources to look at as well. A lot of more content. I assume when you started, there was no one to look. For example, we've got YouTube now. We've got the internet.
Yeah.
Back in the days, I guess there's nothing like
Nothing.
that.
When I first started, and I told my mom that I wanted to do UFC or MMA, she was like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And she didn't know what it was, and she was like, "That's not even a job." I was like, "It is." And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is what crazy people do to go and have like street fights. Do you know what I mean? Like they couldn't process because my parents like fully supported my fighting and combat. They weren't telling us not to fight. They were just saying, be a boxer. This is how you do it. You're going to make money being a boxer, fight just being a boxer, because then they didn't know what UFC was.
Yeah.
So when I was telling them like, look, no, I'm going to fight, they were like, he's fucking crazy.
Yeah, there's nothing there. You're not chasing anything.
There is no job there. There is no money there. Like, what are you talking about?
Yep.
I think.
But when now, there's guys like me here, there's guys like Rob, there's guys like Alex, the Tahuna brothers,
Just talking about Australia.
There's so many guys here that can open the doors for all of the guys like you who are just competing on a domestic scene to get there.
Yeah.
It's not even like I had nothing. I was just stupid enough and crazy enough to fucking believe in myself that I was going to do it. So I was willing to take this fight on short notice and go here and do this and fight this guy, and it just happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the power of the mind, like the belief of powering yourself. Like, yeah, I'm going to do it, and I don't care what anyone else said. Do you know what I mean? Just believing it and going for it. And it's like the stressful and the hard times and that you've got no money, you're broke, all them things plays into becoming a better fighter.
That's the story.
That's the story.
This is what you're building
you're
on.
building it. That's it.
Yes.
And it's
One more question I want to ask you. How did the name The Real Deal come across?
so it's quite funny. It was my original MMA fight coach, Nigel Scope. He's the dad of Ryan Scope, who was in Bellator and another obviously high-level MMA fighter. Ryan's a little bit younger than me now, but his dad used to get called the white Evander Holyfield. So he looked like a white version of Evander Holyfield. He had like the big shoulders, big chest, big strap, and he had like this porn star mustache, and he used to get called about, and somehow I ended up getting called, and it was just like, that's how it stuck.
Yeah,
that's how it stuck, because Nigel, my original coach, I worked with him on the doors, I worked with him on a building site. He was like my second dad. He was always there for us. He was always at every fight, at every training session. We worked together. Like the only time we didn't see each other was when we went to bed, sleep in my house, and he slept in his house. The next day I was there first thing in the morning, and I lived like that from coming out of school to sign. And then I was with Nigel. Nigel coached us all the way up to the fight out here in Australia, UFC 127.
Oh wow!
And we came out for four or 5 weeks before the fight. And after that fight, I beat Spencer Fisher. And after that fight, he said, you want to go further in your career, I think you need to go to America. Like,
oh yeah?
Yeah. He was like, I think you need to go to America. I think you need better wrestling, better grappling.
Especially back then.
Back then.
Right now it's elevated a lot, but back then there was not many high level.
He was like, not that I don't think that we can't do this, and I think you just need to get better by going there and doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And looking back, like I appreciated everything that he said and he did, and I listened to him. So I went. But looking back on my career, we could have done it still, like just us.
Yeah, without going.
Yeah. Like I don't know what.
You had that belief
like we had
in
that
yourself.
connection.
Yeah.
We had that connection where he said, "Do this," I did that.
What time did you go to America? When was that?
I went to America 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
UFC 127. That was the first time UFC was in Australia, right?
Second.
Yeah,
the first one was who was on the first one? Was it 110? Was it 110 here?
We'd be going back a long time.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
All right,
yeah, my debut was 105, and that was 2009.
Your debut?
My debut, yeah.
Yep. And then a few months later, they would have came back here.
Yeah.
Or came here for the first time.
Yeah, so I was on the second one.
I'll ask one more question before we move to the next one. You were doing construction before you became a professional fighter. Moved, took MMA as a whole career. How did that transition happen? We know there's that stage in the middle where you kind of not sure where you're going.
Like I said, my parents were fully supportive of what I did.
Oh, no.
They just didn't know what UFC was. So they told me to get a trade, make a trade, because if this didn't work out, who knows what you'd do for life? Do you know what I mean? I went and got a trade. I was working as a brickie. And I had them semi-professional fights, and my parents seen how hard I was working, how much I wanted it, and they sat me down. I think I was maybe like 21.
Yeah.
And they sat me down at home, and they were like, look, if this is really what you want to do, we'll support you. You can live in the house, eat for free. Whatever you need, we got you. You don't need to worry about money.
Almost like you got sponsored by.
I got sponsored by my parents.
Yeah,
at the time, and look, it was still hard. Like I didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah,
but money didn't bother us back then. It wasn't like I needed it. I was getting everything out of life by being in the gym.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
And they would have been paying for your needs, and you don't have any other wants.
Yeah.
Because it's not even a want. I'm living like this.
My parents was a big factor to the reason why I made it so quick and so young. It's because they supported us. They took us to the gym. They were there. They said, like, if you fuck up one time, it's done. You got to do this.
Yeah, this is the risk.
This is it. It's now or never. You want to do it, you fucking do it. If you don't, and you fucking piss it up the wall, it's gone. Yeah. So like, in my head, I just knew, I was like, this is it. Like I've set my goals, I've set my targets, I've got my parents who support us and help us, and like they were okay. They were like, no, he can't do this. We've got to be here for the gym. We've got to be back to do this. And I can't eat this. My mom said, I got to cook this. So she was fully learning what I got to eat, what I got to do.
Wow.
They were a massive support system, and they just made things easier for us to be able to do what I wanted to do.
Did you
just
feel
focus?
Sorry, did you feel pressure when they said this is like when they were doing all this for you, and you're like, oh, did it come up as, what if I don't do it? What if I don't make it? No?
Nah, never thought that once. Yeah. I don't know. I can't tell you why, or I can't tell you how, or what I did to make us believe what I believed back then.
Yeah,
it was. But I just did. Yes. I just did. And everyone back then, like growing up, always told us like, you're fucking crazy, you can't do this, or you're stupid, like what, do you know what I mean? But it didn't matter. It honestly didn't matter. I was just like I didn't see it. I didn't care.
You were living in a state of certainty. Like,
yeah,
I am going to make this work.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And you have to have that.
Yeah. That's how I made it. That's how I did it.
Okay, moving on to our next segment, fight, friend, or collab. So we're going to drop 3 names.
Okay. And
I want you to think about, collabing with someone, friending someone, maybe getting some advice, and you've got to fight the last person, okay? So the first name is Diego Sanchez. The next name is Josh Emmett.
Josh Emmett?
Josh Emmett, big hitter, just destroyed Bryce Mitchell.
Collab as in you mean train with? Or just
could work with, could be business.
Okay.
Like take it where you want to take it. And the third name is someone we mentioned earlier, Colby Covington. So you've got Sanchez, Emmett, Covington. Fight, friend, or collab.
Well, I'd 100% fight Diego. I want to fight Diego again.
Yeah.
That story's still untold. And that story isn't finished yet. Where I come from, fights don't finish like that. Do you know what I mean? That's all since that fight happened, I have asked, I have called him out, I have done everything to fight that guy just to close the book.
Do you think that was the biggest robbery in UFC history?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
was literally talking about this morning to one of the guys that I do PTs with, and that was harder mentally to deal with than actually getting my ass kicked in a fight and getting beat.
Oh, wow.
That was harder to deal with because it's the not knowing why. The not knowing why the judges didn't see it that way. What did I do wrong to not... And yeah, that was harder to deal with in a fight where, like if you have a fight and you get knocked out, you'd be like, fuck, I made a mistake. I dropped my hands, I got clipped, I got knocked out.
Yeah.
Or you get submitted, you got sloppy, you got tired, you got lazy, you got caught in a submission. That's easy to process in your head. So you can grow from that, learn from that. Where a fight gets taken away from you for no reason whatsoever, in my head I was just like, what are these judges not fucking like us? Is it my style? Are they not seeing what I'm doing? Like thinking about my whole career.
Yeah, and your whole style.
My whole style, thinking like, am I doing something wrong? That like literally mentally fucked us up.
Yep. Okay, so then fight or collab? No, sorry, friend or collab?
Sorry, I'm just gonna ask one question. I'm not sure how it works. Is the judges the same judges that go around all the events?
Steered. So it's steered. Depends on, so like you can get Nevada Athletic Commission, or you can get California State Collection, Texas. Yep. So it's like, it's all, wherever the fight is, that state will govern and sanction the bouts.
That fight was in New Mexico, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he's Mexican.
Yeah. I mean, it all plays its part into the fight. Yes, I agree.
Okay, and so before moving on to the next part of that question.
So I am actually friends with Josh Emmett. He's a good fucking dude. Yeah. And I just fight the other two. I wouldn't collab.
You'd fight Colby as well.
I'd just fight the other two.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Like fight, friend, fight.
Yeah,
that's the new segment.
There's no collab. I'd collab and friend Josh, and then the other two I'd just fight.
What about Colby that you want to fight him?
I just think he talks shit. I just think that he pushes all the wrong buttons and he's doing all the wrong things.
for
the wrong
young
reasons.
fighters to see,
Yeah,
or for his career.
For him as a person, for the sport, for all the other young kids coming up and seeing this sport and seeing what it's turning into, the things that he's seeing, the things that he's doing, I think it's just bullshit. And then he doesn't back up the shit that he says.
Yeah,
like he's got mad cardio, mad wrestling, and that's about it.
What about what he said about Leon's dad? How do you feel about that?
He's a shitbag.
Yeah, it's almost like you can take it
like,
personally.
and I know why he does it. It's because he's trying to get Leon out of his game to come forward, swing loads of bombs so he can wrestle and take him down.
Yeah, shoot.
Do you know what I mean? So I understand why he's doing it, but there's a level of, come on, man, was it really worth it that much? Do you know what I mean? And I thought Leon then, because I even got worried myself knowing Leon, thinking, fuck, maybe he is going to now be mad and angry and fucking forget his game plan and fuck up and get caught.
Yep.
Fall into that game. But he didn't. He rose to the level and he fucking made him pay.
That's right. So from a fighter's perspective, you can then appreciate Leon's performance that little bit more. As a casual, they won't notice
I honestly feel in that fight, that Leon could have stepped it up more to chase for the finish.
Yeah.
He could have, but ultimately I think Leon wanted to break him, prove a point, and just like
take him down,
do all the things that he wasn't supposed to do.
And I think the biggest win now, like probably for the MMA community, is that Colby's 0-3 in title fights.
Yeah.
And if he wants another opportunity, he's going to have to prove he can back his talk.
Yeah.
He's not going to get gifted another one.
Nah.
So Leon beating him that convincingly, in my opinion, was very convincingly.
Yeah.
Especially those first 8 minutes. That was a masterclass. Footwork, switch stance.
Angles, switching stands, mixing up his levels.
Did
Colby's
everything different.
Yeah.
No, Leon's making him fight different.
Yeah.
He's shut him down.
Yeah, Leon, Colby wanted Leon just to come forward and try and knock him out. That's what he was hoping for.
Yeah.
So yeah, Leon fought smart. And that's a hard thing to do under all them circumstances. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone says all that shit to you and you get all frustrated and you get mad, you get angry, you fall out your game. But now he switched it on. He did great. He fought well.
That's a champion.
Yep.
We'll go to the next segment of the show, and this is highlight breakdowns. We'll just show you a few highlights and
So just a bit on the clip,
Yeah.
wherever you want to take it, and
All right. What's the clip?
show you a bit.
Hey, that's my
the
debut.
flying back name.
Hey. Yeah. That
From
was
the clinch
that was
too.
105, yeah.
Pushing back.
Just doing this, the difficulty of it, the setup, how do you...
I'd say that was the most nervous I've ever been for a fight. Big stage, UFC,
First time.
pay-per-view, first fight on the main card. It was my opening into the world scene.
This is your first impression.
First impression, yeah. Super nervous, super scared. Trained really fucking hard for it. I was really focused. But I was going into fight, I was dealing with fucking nerves, fear, and I thought I was going to break before I was getting to the cage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
In the walk.
no, the walk. Yeah, the walk. The warm up was great. I was fucking smashing, just doing what I did in training. Do you know what I mean? That just minute and a half walk to the cage, petrified.
Was it the big crowd? Or
Big
was
crowd,
it the first
my
debut?
moment, everything in my life that I did to lead to this moment, to get to this time. Do you know what I mean? In my hometown,
Yeah.
shit in my pants. Yeah, proper shit in my pants. And I thought I was going to crack. And I thought I was like, fuck, like I can't handle this. Do you know what I mean? Like the fear was like, shit, what the fuck's going on? It doesn't feel like this normally.
Like overwhelming.
Overwhelming, yeah. And then the first punch changed everything.
Yeah.
It just like, I felt it connect and I was just like, I just felt this like relief, just like, and then I just went into like trainer mode, just
And
went in.
settle in.
Just settled in, just like, and it was the first punch that threw. And I just like, as soon as we made contact, of like me hitting him, I think I jabbed him and it was like a good jab, just like a whap. And I was just like, I'm in now.
I'm here.
I'm done.
It takes
It's
one
no
good-
different. And it was that growth from shitting your pants terrified to cracking him with a punch and then realizing, This is just it doesn't matter where the fight is. The fight's a fight.
And we're here now.
I'm here now. I might as well get fighting. And that was.
So I hear a lot of people say. Like a fight's a fight. It doesn't matter whether it's in a cage, in a ring, in the backyard, whatever. You are saying that debut, maybe compare it to one of your amateur fights, completely different.
Completely different, yeah. Completely different. I feel like it was the. Do you know you hear the Joe Rogan and everyone talk about the UFC jitters and the first fight? That back then was like such a big thing. I don't know if I heard it that much. I was playing and I was like, shit, this is what's happening to me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then I just settled it and I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, it's not that real. It's not real.
What would your message be for a new fighter that's going to the main event now? He's at the pay-per-view cards. What is your message for them?
Trust.
For a moment like this.
You got to have the person, the team with you that you trust, and you can trust who's on the same journey, and you can all, because it's not just, that performance was me, I did that, but it was everyone else on the outside, the guys that I was training with, the coaches that I had, the people that was there with us to keep us in that state of mind, to not let it fold us, break us. I just remember Nigel screaming, it's just like in the gym, Ross, it's just normal, you're just home. And it was just like, no, he's not wrong. It is. Do you know what I mean? So it's the people, the team around you.
Yep.
Because it's you in there taking the punches, it's you in there getting kneed, elbowed, taken down, beaten up. But you wouldn't last 10 seconds without the team that you've got behind you, supporting you, training with you, pushing you, like mentally telling you how to do this, physically preparing you how to do this. It's the team that you've got with you. Like you're going to war, you're going to battle, you really are. Yeah. And you need that support system from the best guys that you've got, who you trust, that's going to be there for you and give you the right advice to be like, this is what you need to bring your best. And it's get the right team, get the right people, whoever it is. It doesn't even have to be, it could be your fucking mom and dad. Do you know what I mean? It could be. Yeah. But if your mom and dad is the one that fucking fires you up and gets you ready to fight and gets you focused and switched on, you far rather have them than fucking GSP, Matt Serra, fucking Greg Jackson. Do you know what I mean?
But they don't care about it.
They don't care.
I think Dana talks about this and how a lot of boxers get a rapper, get someone with them when they're walking out. He's like, no, it's not that. I want the people that are with them, training them, being there with them the whole camp. Yeah. This is who is meant to be walking out with you, not someone that you just like their songs.
And it'll be a confidence booster for the fighters.
Yeah, you have to have, you got like, it's like that last walk into the cage, there's nothing physical about it. It's all mental and how you deal with that mental stress and that mental preparation to being able to hold it together, to be able to deliver what you've got to do to win that fight, wherever it's going to be, whether it be a kick, punch, knee, elbow, wrestle, grapple, whatever it is, cardio, whatever you've got to do to win that fight, you've got to be mentally prepared and focused and not let the doubts, not let the fear, not let that overcome your performance. So you see guys go in and crumble.
It's the balance.
They like the balance. Yeah. And you get that from the guys that you train with, the bond, the guys that you sweat in the gym with, the bleed with, your coaches that scream and fucking shout at you. You hate them at the time. Do you know what I mean? You're like, I wish he'd fuck off. But he's screaming and shouting at you all the time.
For your benefit.
For your benefit. Yes. He's telling you to keep your fucking hands up because you're going to get knocked out. Yeah. He's telling you to do the right things. Do you know what I mean? It's that team bonding, that team process. It's a team sport till the first punch is thrown. Do you know what I mean? And then it's all on you.
So you said that to have the whole team on the same wavelength, right? Fighter to coach. For fighters that are coming up, like, what would your advice be? Should they sit down and have a conversation with their head coach, like what their final goal is? Or,
I mean,
how would you increase that bond?
The conversations, and it's not hard to see good kids coming in the gym who work hard, who want to be here, who's fucking the first guy in, the last guy out. It's not hard to see that.
So to you, they deserve more time.
They deserve more time. The guys that really want to do it, the guys who ask the questions. Should I be doing this? What happens if I do this? Can you give us an extra round on the pads? Oh, I'm getting stuck in this position. Can I do that? The first come in. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's hand in hand. It's like I come from a background where like I didn't have a coach who'd been there and done it before. I didn't have someone who told us and guided us how to do it. I just had the will, the want, the drive, the passion, didn't give a fuck. I was going for it. Do you know what I mean? I had that. Now, like I've got all that experience. I've got all that knowledge. I can't give it to you. You have to earn it. You have to take it. You have to use it. Do you know what I mean? If I say, look, go home, go to sleep, don't train tomorrow morning because you're fucking overtraining. You're going to get hurt, you're going to get sick, you're going to fuck up the rest of the week, you're going to spar like shit, and you're going to go home and you're going to cry. Do you know what I mean?
So just listen to your advice.
Listen to the advice, listen to the team. Like, take what I've already, all the rights, all the wrongs, all the mistakes that I've made, and be like, do your way. Because I'm not trying to make anyone be me. Do you know what I mean? Fight like me, do what I do. It's all about you. You've got to do that. You've got to earn that. You've got to get that. If you go further than me, fucking great. If you win a world title, great. If you get to that next step, that's your success.
Yeah.
It's not mine. It's a part of mine because I helped get you ready there, but it's not me. I see it at Jamie and Sam, all the guys fighting all the time. When you're in there, it's not me. I've already had my teeth knocked out. I've already had my nose broken. I've already had my jaw loosened. Yeah. I've already had my career, but now it's on yous.
To build yours,
to do
off your foundation.
To do you. What I did, all the things right and wrong, you put it into yours and do it your way.
You gotta
walk your walk. Do your walk. Do your fight.
Real quick, before we move to the next highlight, what do you think of like fighters with a lot of flair, like someone like Yair Rodriguez? That highlight was you flying knee from the clinch, moving backwards. Do you like that type of style of fight, like the entertainers as well in there? I love his style. I love his skill set. He always is looking to finish fights. I love guys like that, looking for that spinning back kick, looking for that big knee, looking for that head kick. Them are the finishing sequences. What put guys to sleep, and that's what people want to see. Do you know what I mean? So that style, whether it be, I love just guys going for it. Like, whether it be going for it in the grappling, whether it be going for it in the wrestling, it's mixed martial arts. My first love will always be the striking, the kickboxing, the boxing, the Muay Thai, the devastation of the striking, how much like damage it does. But I still love grappling. I still love wrestling. I still love if a wrestler takes down a fucking striker and beats the fuck out of him and submits him. Do you know what I mean? I still love that. I can appreciate it. Yeah.
I'll be like, this motherfucker needs to learn to take down defense and get back to his feet and scrambles. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it.
You love the game.
I love the game. I'm just addicted to fighting. I love the sport. I love the training. It took a while. I'm not going to lie. It took a while to start loving to being a coach. I didn't love it at first.
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask, during your fighting career, did you have thoughts about coaching at the same time, or did you have anyone? No.
Nah.
Completely.
When I first started this gym, I was still fighting in the UFC, and Jamie was still fighting on the domestic scene, and I was never pictured myself as his coach. It was always he'd help me get ready for a fight, I'd help him get ready for a fight. So we just spar with each other, train with each other. I'd pat him a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it grew like that. It did.
So
I didn't ever say, look, you come to me, and I'll coach you, and we'll get you in the UFC, and we'll do this.
Yep.
He just came, helped me for my fights, and we just built a foundation of now. It's like it's not a the relationship is inside the gym. It's all business. It's all work. He's at work now, and then outside of the gym, he's my brother. He's my friend. He's He needs us, calls us. I need him, call. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's grew into that. It wasn't forced. It wasn't pushed on him. Do you know what I mean? It just happened.
Yeah.
It just happened. I feel it happened because there was nothing else like this on the Central Coast. There wasn't a fight team on the Central Coast.
Yeah.
So
he
wanted to do it. He came to me. Do you know what I mean? So like it just happened naturally.
Were you living in Sydney when that happened?
No, I don't. I've only ever lived in Central Coast.
Oh, you've always lived here.
Always lived here. Yeah.
Okay.
So you building a fight crew was kind of like a byproduct of you
End of my
and
career.
him just wanting to work hard.
Yeah.
And it just happened.
I literally just came out of the UFC and he signed. So he was, I was fighting still in the UFC. I used him for Hirota, I used him for Green, I used him for a lot of my UFC fights. He was still fighting domestically on the local scene.
But that really doesn't matter. It's what's in, like how good he is. There's so many domestic fighters that are really, really good.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be in the UFC to be a great fighter.
No, the level domestically now, since I've been here, when I first came here and I saw the domestic scene, I was like, these kids are just hungry, fucking game, go for it. They have real fights, but there's the missing just that like texture.
Yeah.
The texture in the like what it takes. How do you win? There wasn't a lot of knowledge of like how you win. How you got to do this to get this. Do you know what I mean? Where now
The chess game.
Now the sport's evolved. The guys have been in the UFC. The UFC's been here. Like the sport's big. Now there's like guys like yourself, like guys who play soccer who could have been a footballer, or guys who played NRL. That high level athlete now chasing mixed martial arts and fighting.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like the game is evolving right at domestic level. Like so, like that's why like when I said in the beginning of the UFC jitters, so there was like domestic level, then the UFC.
Yeah.
So when I got from this, which I'd always been fighting, to this, I had that whole gap of shit in my pants. Do you know what I mean?
But
I didn't
now-
climb it, but now the domestic levels. So do you know what I mean?
Yes.
There's not a big gap. So the guys now who's guys like, so in the UFC, you've got guys like who we don't even fucking know the name. They're guys ranked 100, 150.
But they could be top 15.
They could be fucking top 15. They just need
Yes.
2 or 3 more fights to get there.
Yes.
That guy's just come from here, where you guys are now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So there's the gap and the jitters is that thing's long gone now.
A great example is Bo Nickel. Like, look
Yeah.
how shallow his actual fight experience is, but the level of his skill through competing in other martial arts, like, you cannot underestimate anyone. And there's people that no one knows, no money, no anything, that could be on the path to UFC gold one day because of
100%.
where they're at without even being known.
And because the level is so much higher now domestically, guys are used to being put in them positions of what a real fight is.
Yes.
So just kicking the piss out of someone for 15 minutes is not a fight. You're just beating someone up. A fight is where you've got to overcome adversity. You've got to take a shot. You've got to take a leg kick. You've got to defend a takedown. You've been pinned on the floor and you've had your face battered for a few punches and you get back up and work your way back your feet. Or you reverse position, you end up on top.
That's where it
That's
begins.
a fight.
That's where it
And
starts.
that's what guys are getting now. I didn't get that. I was so much, when I was younger, fighting on the local scene, I was fighting guys that didn't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
But I'd been doing judo, taekwondo, boxing, kickboxing. I'd been doing all these different martial arts. So I knew multiple different techniques and I was fucking wiping the floor with guys. So I was bashing the domestic scene. I was the fucking big fish in a small pond.
Yes.
And then I got to the UFC and I was like, holy fuck. Like, I'm here now, do you know what I mean? And that's what I was talking about, the jitters, the nerves, the panic set in. And that. But I feel like because I went through that and I embraced that and I did that and I overcome that, it never happened again. Yeah. And it honestly never happened. So after that, one time it happened in my debut with the UFC, that feeling, I never got that feeling again.
Yeah, you've been through that ringer.
Yeah.
You've been through the tester.
Yeah.
So you'd rather that earlier in your career as well.
Yeah.
You'd rather domestic scene be harder.
100%.
Because you want to be set up.
Yeah,
for
there's
when you
no
get to the big
good.
stage.
There's no good going all the way through your career in MMA and be handpicked fights or guided fights, and because you don't want that.
No.
You're not getting tested in a fight.
What do you think of someone like Jake Paul doing stuff like that?
I mean, I think it's the comedy show. He's buying the Wolf tickets.
Yeah.
He's making money from the guys who are trying to make it.
Yeah.
Do you know, he's making, because he's got the name, because he's got the fame, because he's got the popularity, he's making them big bucks because he's got the fame, he's got the fortune, he's got the thing, and he's paying guys. So it's like if me and you had a fight, right? Me and you, friends, never spoke to each other. I'll give you $1 million, me and you will have a fight, right? All right, cheers, mate, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll have a fight with you, yeah. Come on, we'll get in there, we'll mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. That's what it is, yeah.
I'll fight you. I'll give you 500 quid if you win. I'll give you I'll give you 500 quid, and if you win, I'll give you 1,000. Now we have a fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not about money.
That's completely different.
Yeah, it's not about
now
money
it's
now.
completely different.
It's about who wins.
Who wants to win? And that's the comedy show what these guys are fighting in now.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, 100%. He's making money. He's making money.
He's a smart businessman.
Yeah, that's what it is.
He's a good fighter though.
He's
starting from nothing.
Yeah, he's got all the money in the world.
He's got all the tools.
He's got all the tools. He's got all the resources. He's got all the time, all the training, the diet, the strength and conditioning, the pads.
Yeah, we should see big leaps.
Yeah.
It's expected.
Yeah.
You're
doesn't
talking like
have
this.
to go and fucking stand on a door for 12 hours.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to fucking
Sleep in
work
his
on
car.
a building site, sleep in his car.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got the luxuries.
Let's just double check all
Sick.
your mics are still in.
Perfect.
Do that first.
Lovely. Thank you. Sick.
Next highlight is a few clips from your Ultimate Fighter final fight against Andre Winner. It looks like you're having a lot of fun exchanges here. You know, you're slipping, you're countering. Looks like you're both in the flow state. You know, exchanging. How'd you feel in this fight? Do you feel like these exchanges are fun?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your idea on these exchanges here?
This is nothing more than what we did every day in training. This was a fight where we both wanted to fight, but we trained with each other for so much. We trained together so long in the rough house. It's fighting a teammate. It's always not the same.
Yeah.
We were both friends. We both wanted to win and we both wanted to fight, but we have sparred and
Got each other's
Jim
timing.
fought each other way better than that.
You were living in one house, yeah?
Yeah, we all sit
during
in the
the
same house
show,
together. Yeah.
yeah.
But I used to train with Andre, Dean, Dan Hardy, Paul Daly, the Rough House boys, like the original team.
Yeah.
That was my team that I used to go down and get my sparring rounds in. So me and Andre had sparred 1,000,000 times, and the sparring was way better than that. The sparring was way better than that. In the gym, when you're training and you're just letting it go, like the sparring was fucking epic. You would just be like, what the fuck happened there? Do you know what I mean? We were just like knocking lumps out of each other.
And the timing is completely different, and you get each other's timing.
Yeah.
So to bring something different to a fight.
Yeah, and I
feel
like that one knee and elbow at the end, what split Andrea, was the difference between, like, me and Andrea were like 50-50 on everything.
Yeah.
50-50 on everything. He was good at this, I was good at this, he was good at this, I was good at this. One day I'd get him, he next day he'd get me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were 50-50 all the time. We would never be like, I just dominate and beat him.
Real competitive.
Real competitive on everything. But the difference between me and Andre is I was willing to go harder. I was willing to do more. I was willing to chase it that little bit. And that knee and elbow at the end of the third round, what split him, is ultimately the difference in the fight. Because I was willing to do that a little bit more. I would do condition a little bit harder. I would sprint a little bit harder. I would hit the pads a little bit harder. Do you know what I mean? I would be a little bit earlier in the gym. I'd be a little bit more sweaty and bloody mess at the end of the training session.
So for the casual watcher, are those exchanges, like when you're in that flow state, is there an element of having fun in there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
For sure.
beautiful. It's beautiful. You can't, like, it's an expression of like who you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's an expression of who you are and how you fight is who you are. And and that letting it go in that flow state is like, it's such a beautiful thing. It's kind of like an artist when he's painting his picture and he's in his flow state and he's doing his fucking artwork, and it's just like, wow, this picture at the end is amazing. Everyone's like, that's so good, I love it, blah, blah, blah. What we do with our painting is put blood all over the canvas.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's to get to that level and to get to doing it how you do it like that it's nothing just but hard work, training, dedication, living that lifestyle, breathing that lifestyle, sleeping that lifestyle, and just fucking going out there and doing it.
It is.
Yeah, that's the, like that flow state. It's only ever happened to us a few times where time had stood still and you're fighting an opponent and it feels like he's in slow motion and you see him doing it before you've even done it, and you're already on the next step, and it's just like, this is easy. Boop, 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 boop. It's only happened to us a few times where I've gotten to that level of flow state and everything's just gone right.
Only a few times in competition, or like you feel it a lot inspiring as well?
I mean, sparring's a little bit different because in the gym is because like it's not the same as a fight. You're not trying to, you're trying to work and you're trying, do you know what I mean? So like, yeah, that element, like you do so much better in the gym at times because that stress of this isn't going to knock you out, or you're not trying to knock each other out and you're not trying to hurt each other real bad, do you know what I mean? So the level of stress is down and the raise of ability is higher because you're not under stress. So,
and even the shot after, like if you get hit in training, you know your partner's not going to come down and hendo you, you know?
Yeah.
But in a fight, this guy is going to really try and take your lights out. You know,
it's just a different feeling. Like, it's just a different feeling to what it feels like to fight someone who's in there, who's trying to take you out.
I've only sparred with a mate in boxing, and I've played football most of my life. Sparring was probably the most fun thing I ever done in sports.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's in us, in our
Human
genes.
nature. Yeah.
It's just that mentality of we want to win. We want to be, I don't know, it might sound a little bit, what's the word? But it might sound a bit selfish, but you're not trying to be the top to flex your muscles, say, oh, I'm the man, but it's just that feeling of winning.
Yeah.
the competitive drive.
Yeah.
And it's a 1v1 now. You're not relying on a whole team to perform. It's you and the other man.
Yeah. No, yeah. It goes back to primate state.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's brilliant.
protect it. Yeah, it's who we are as humans.
100%.
Yeah, it's in us. It's built in us. Like, it's not built in everyone. Like, some people think we're crazy. Like, I think people are crazy of jumping out of a fucking airplane, doing triple backflips on a motorbike, swimming with fucking great white sharks. Jumping on the back of a crocodile is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Two men having a fight, competing at each other is not crazy to me.
That makes sense.
That makes sense to me. I can fully understand that. I can appreciate it. I can work with it. I can do that. I understand that.
Yeah. To me, working a 9 to 5 is crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
and someone that's living in a life that they hate and doing a job that they hate
that's crazy.
for the 70 years of their life, and then they're sad, not enjoying life, and then they die at 78. They have 8 years of their life where they just fucking do nothing and then just die. That to me is a waste of a life.
Yeah.
Don't you think greatness needs a little bit of craziness? But
What, sorry?
greatness needs a little bit of craziness.
100%. Yeah.
Find a lot of successful top tier males.
Psychopaths.
Yeah.
Psychopaths.
There is no great
Yeah.
without a touch of madness.
Yeah, psychopaths. And
You just have to think and act and do everything different to everyone else. It can't be average. If you're average, you're just like everyone.
Yeah.
You have to be that psycho that takes the extra mile.
Go that little bit more, do that a little bit extra, want it that little bit more, because like there's how many guys now who are training want to be in the UFC, like really want to be in the UFC.
Yeah.
There's a few, There's a few. The talent's real good, and there's a lot of up and coming kids. There's a few,
But it's not everyone.
but it's not everyone.
No.
There's the guys will reach a potential and be like, oh, I got clocked with that shot. I didn't really like that. So they'll just stay at that level. Do you know what I mean? 100%. There's only a small minority of the guys that like really want to take it to that next level.
Yeah, just because they're a fighter does not mean they want to be at the very top.
Yeah, no, and it doesn't. You can be a fighter domestically and have a great career.
Yeah.
And
Have a
you
few
can be
amateur
happy with
fights
that.
and then go back to a job.
You can be happy with that.
Yeah.
You've tested yourself. You know you can do it. You can have a good fight. You can win some, lose some, enjoy it. You had a good time. You have 5-10 years in it, just like fucking around, messing around. Or now I'll settle down and have kids and have a family. I did that phase of my life.
Yeah.
So the next ones I'd be like, right now, this is not enough. I want to test myself against the best. I want to go in there with the Connors. I want to go in there with the Habibs. I want to fight Islam. I want to fight Alex.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
That's
the next level.
And that's complete commitment to the craft. You cannot have anything else.
Cannot have any like set tracks. It's got to be tunnel vision.
Yep, that's it.
Has to be tunnel vision from the moment you decide that this is what you want to do and that's what you're going for. That's it. Everything else just bounces off you.
Yeah,
Bounce off.
Doesn't matter.
All that negative energy, all that whatever it is, just this is the goal. That's where I'm going.
You've had a great run in your career. How proud are you of everything you've done? Do you think you pushed your...
I mean, I'm not a very like, I don't have a big ego. So I don't see fighting and the things that I do being that good. I really don't.
It's like not that special.
It's not that special to us. It's like, it's more of like just like who I am. And it's hard to explain that like, oh, I'm great because I did this. Like, it's just a fight.
So if let's, for argument's sake, say you won a world title, would you have a different outlook on your career?
I mean, that was always my goal, to become a world champion. And I fully believed it and it never happened.
Do you think that's why you feel like that?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Possibly,
Yeah, maybe it's the unfulfillment of the things that I wanted, dreamt of, slept of. Only thing I think about maybes.
You'll never know, right?
But you never know.
Yeah,
never know. I ain't coming back.
Unless it's Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, unless it's Diego Sanchez.
Yeah. Unless we've got gypped on the caption.
Have you sparring in a gym? Knocking the... Is that real? Was that you fighting?
Yeah. That was what was he called again? So that kid, they were all friends and stuff, but he was a dominant in Newcastle. And he was just one of them kids that came in and he was just a little bit too cocky, a little bit too, do you know what I mean? Like had this, I wouldn't say he wasn't a bad kid because we were like all mates and stuff, but he was just like a little bit too cocksure of himself.
Just needed a little bit of humbling.
Yeah. And it was just like, he was a big boy. He was probably like a 110, 115 size guy. And I was like, a 75, 80 kilo guy. And but that's how we were then. That was our gym. And we didn't have a coach. We didn't have anyone that could specifically say. We literally just went in and just sparred each other. That was our training. Just fight training.
Yeah. Is it this? I know it's sparring, but like how far do you go?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a level of how far do you go. I mean, like we had big gloves and shin guards on, so we were kicking and punching each other as hard as we could.
Yeah.
But we weren't like kneeing and elbowing and fucking trying to.
As soon as you connect as well, you see
it's a respect thing, right? It's like, I mean, if someone like is a dick with you and then you got full right to be a dick back to them, do you know what I mean? So like, I guess it's like when you're in competition, everyone's training to fight, you like want to push each other hard enough so they're getting the good rounds, they're getting stuck in adversity, they're getting pressured, they're getting all this real, as close as you can get to a fight feelings, what you're getting used to in the gym. So when it happens in a fight, it's nothing that you've not experienced before. But there's a level of commitment, respect, like things you don't do. Do you know what I mean? You don't like knee stomp someone and try to blow his leg out. Do you know what I mean? You don't fly knee him in the face. Do you know what I mean? You don't elbow him. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, do you know what I mean? They might like pretend to show an elbow or pretend to show a knee, but it's like, you just don't do it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's kind of like a hidden spoken, like sometimes it happens and it does happen. Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of like it's just a respect thing. It's just like you find it more with guys who just come to the gym, who don't really know a lot, who get a little bit nervous, get a little bit scared of like, oh shit, like we're sparring now, so like what are we doing? Are we fighting or are we sparring? Who don't understand the level of what it takes. Because like me and Jimmy and Sam and all the boys, we can knock the shit out of each other, kick the piss out of each other and smash each other and go hard as we can go with each other.
Yeah.
But we just don't hurt each other.
It's immaturity
Yeah.
that breeds the fear
Yeah.
in those younger people.
The question is, was he all good after that head kick?
Yeah, nah, he was fine. He's actually one of the boys. He's a good lad. He just got a lesson that day.
Well, that's the thing with hard sparring and when it doesn't get dirty, but it's real good and real competitive.
Yeah.
Once it's done, once that bell rings and it's done, you just look at each other and you're like,
Yeah, that was mad.
it's me and you.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
the same, you know? That was a good round.
Yeah,
good
for
work.
sure. That's exactly what it is. That's work. Like
Building.
because it doesn't go on your record here. You don't get paid. Like you're literally. That's when I say you find the right team, you find the right bond, you get the right team around you who's willing to push with you as hard as you can go, but not hurt each other. And then if you're fighting, if you're the one that's fighting, you're number one, you're prime on the mats. You're the one that everyone else is helping, being around. Everyone else is there for you. And the same goes for when you're not fighting and it's someone else fighting. He came in at 6 o'clock in the morning to do conditioning with you because you were fighting. So now you got to do the same thing for him.
Yes.
And it's just like, that's a brotherhood. You're building up a family. You're building up a relationship where like you go through hell and back to get prepared, ready for a fight. And then you've got that guy standing beside you when you do fight. You've got that confidence. It just goes hand in hand. Just like it all builds as like a team.
Team effort.
Team effort. Like, and it's like you grow that confidence of like, especially when you're in a team and you've got like a lot of good guys, that's when it gets higher and gets better because you've got higher levels to climb to reach their level, but also you're not competing at their level. So if you're doing rounds with a guy that's in the UFC or he's been in the UFC and you're still just amateur and you're doing good against this guy, that means you're getting better. He's helping you get better.
And then he's not going to want to lose that place.
Because you're chasing him.
He's going to go better.
So he's like this.
Yes.
It's like this the whole time. And then just over time, you've now been training with him for what, 2-3 years? Now you started here, now you're here.
Is that like training with a higher weight class?
Higher levels of ability, like guys that have been in the game. So you're like, it's classed in like 5 fights to 10 fights to 15 fights to 20 fights to.
Is that how you think of it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think every 5 fights is like a big learning curve. A big learning curve where like the growth, because that's 5 training camps. So that's what, 50 weeks roughly? Like see if you just roughly guess 10 weeks of fight camp. Like I know some are shorter, some are longer, whatever. So if you could just roughly it out, that's 50 weeks of fight training in 5 fights. Do you know what I mean? And then your next one is another, it's 100 weeks.
So think about the damage that puts on the body, right?
Stress, damage, injury.
Help longevity for fighters. How often do you think fighters should be sparring hard? Like,
well, I only think fighters should be sparring hard in camp.
Okay.
So in camp.
And then outside is more technique.
Outside of camp, you can be the guy on the outside helping the guy get ready, or just playful sparring, touch and move, boxing sparring, but like to a level where it's like you're more conditioning than fighting. Do you know what I mean?
Camp is really
that
dialing
camp
your time
is
in.
really that camp is really dialing it in, really specific on what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, thinking about the moves, thinking about. He does this, I do this. When he does this, I've got this. Do you know what I mean? I'm putting that imprint in your brain in the gym. you're getting them rounds in, you're doing exactly what you got to do. So when it happens in real time, that it's not new to you, it's not a shock. You've already been looking at his right hand or his double leg or his single leg, or he's looking at his right head kick or his left switch kick. You've been already looking at that for the last 10 weeks. Now you're just waiting for it to happen to get answering back.
What I say to my mates and people that aren't in the sport is that the camp is actually probably harder than the fight.
Yeah.
You will get injured and have to keep pushing. You'll have to turn over new stones in your mind. Like, I can't train today and find a way to do something.
Yeah.
Get to the fight, try and get to the fight uninjured, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to have injuries.
Yeah.
The rounds that you do, people break you down, the shark tanks.
Yeah.
The camp is the fight.
Yeah.
And then the fight is the product of the camp.
And there's no line, right? I kept saying this before.
Yeah.
You don't do them things, you get exposed. You don't do them shark tanks. You don't get put through adversity. Your training camp's nice and easy and hardy-da, kicking a few pads, moving around. It's all lovely-dovely.
Bet on him
Then
to
you
lose
get in the
then.
fight, and it's anything but lovely-jubbly.
Yes. Yeah. You'd rather bleed in the gym, sweat in the gym to bleed less on the cage.
There's, like I say, we've been fighting for thousands of years. There is no, like, as much as the science of how to train, the diet of what we do, the recoveries, that's getting higher and higher and higher. The essence of building a fighter just is the same as spitting on the floor.
It'll never change.
Never change.
Yep.
Luxury is not a thing for a fighter.
No.
Luxury and
It's poison.
luxury and easy living. Like, do you honestly believe right now the life that Conor lives?
Yes.
The life that Conor lives right now, he wants to be in the gym, shark tanking, conditioning, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, getting smashed every day.
It's not fun.
It's not fun.
He's got.
Like, I do believe he's a fighter. I do believe that he loves competing. I do believe all of them things that he still wants to fight and he still wants, but does he want to really do them things?
Does he want to
Could he be like, I ain't doing shark tanks today?
Is he the same Conor that when
Is
he
he
started?
exactly?
I'll do pads.
Yeah.
I'll do some strength
Yeah.
and con. I'll go for a run.
I mean, and that's what fame, fortune, luxury living does to
Changes
a
the
fighter.
game.
Changes the game.
Do you think he's a lot of successful people always have a North Star that look up to and they want to do it for that reason? Do you think when you're made it to the top, he's won a lot of belts, world champion, he's got all the money in the world. Does he have I don't know if he's got that North Star still in there.
Yeah. The question that he's got to ask himself is, like, does he really want to do this again? Like, does he really want to be that kid that wanted all these things, that chased to get all these things? Does he want to do all them things again? Because I know I don't want to do them now. If I could turn back time and go back to being 18 and do it all again, 100% I would. And I'm sure he feels the same way,
But
to
age
live
is
that
a
life
factor.
again. But the life that he is and where he is right now, I don't want to fucking get up in the morning and fucking do sprints and then come into pads and then go do shark tanks and then grapple later.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
What do you think of his fight with Chandler?
So I trained with Chandler for quite a while. If Conor kicks and moves in the first round, he could land. He could knock a guy out.
That's all going to be that camp,
Yeah.
that mindset.
He could.
I want to ask one question, and we were talking about this last week about Chandler. Is Chandler the same person and in front of a camera?
Chandler's all right. He's a doggy kid.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. He really is. He's not a bad guy at all. We did a lot of camps together at Alliance. I helped them all. We were both. He's very similar in the sense that he's very competitive. Like, I was competitive, he was competitive. So we were both in the same weight class. He was at Bellator at the time. I was in the UFC. I was helping him get ready for Pitbull Brothers. I was helping ready for Eddie Alvarez. All them guys. So, like, he was in the UFC and he was in Bellator and he wanted to be in the UFC. He was the Bellator champ. and I was in the UFC. So he was always competing and testing himself against me to see, well, if he's in the UFC, where am I at? So that just fueled me to not dislike him, but like I had to bring my A game in. Yeah. I had to turn up to training.
You're not going to beat me.
Because, I had to turn up. Do you know what I mean? I keep my spot. Yeah. And that fueled us. Yeah, like we fucking beat the piss out of each other. We did. And we had some big sessions, some good sparring rounds.
And there'll be good things to look back on.
Yeah.
You'll always remember that.
Yeah.
Like me and him worked together.
Yeah, we did. We had good camps and we had good chemistry. I was so better in one area and he was so better in another area. And like we kind of met in the middle on
like his wrestling, your striking?
His wrestling was way better than mine. My striking was way better than his, and the grappling became 50-50. So it was interesting. It was like days in the gym. Days in the gym when I was on, I would smoke him. I would batter him. And then days where he was on, he would batter and smash me, take me down, beat the piss out of us. He really would.
Did you guys train for a while?
Yeah, we were in alliance for probably like 3-4 years.
That's a lot. You'll learn a lot about someone in that amount of time.
And he's a physical specimen, very strong, very explosive, very. He's agile for short. He's short. He's shorter than me. He's like short, stocky, powerful. He's got a good gas tank.
He's a proper athlete.
Yeah, he's a good athlete. Yeah, he's a great athlete.
Is that in Vegas?
So we very first started in Vegas when Dominic was filming The Ultimate Fighter, season 15, and I was helping up there with Dom because we went up there first for The Ultimate Fighter and Dominic was getting ready for the Uriah Faber fight, and that's when he got hurt. And then I can't remember who I was fighting. I was fighting someone, and then Chandler came into our camp while we were there in Vegas. And then from San Diego, he came back down to San Diego. So I lived in San Diego for about 8-9 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Training with Alliance and all the
living
boys.
the martial arts life.
Living the, yeah. And Alliance at the time was such a good gym because it was like central to like all of the gyms in Mexico. Them guys would come up, guys in LA, they would come down. And we had like big guys like Travis, Joey, Phil Davis, Brandon Vera. Them boys were the big guys. And then there was like me, Dom, Chandler, Rolly Perez, Jeremy Stevens, Miles Jury, Justin Lawrence. There was like this whole gym was bigger. Their mat space was bigger. And there was any like sparring day was like the big days, and there would be 60 to 80 fighters. Like, yeah.
That's massive.
It was massive, yeah. And it was just like fucking, you spar that guy, he jumps out, gets in, do you know what I mean? It was like full on. It was an experience, life experience to like train in that style and that way because it was all grassroots. There wasn't a lot of money there, but it was just like a lot of hard kids. A lot of hard kids that wanted, like especially kids coming from Mexico that were trying to make it. They have no money, they have no lifestyle, they want to fight to make money to get to the UFC, and it's just like
sharpening each other.
Sharp, yeah. If you didn't see 10 people get knocked out on sparring days, it wasn't a normal sparring day. Yeah, there was. I've seen some fights and some mad rounds. Like some better than fights.
Yeah, pay-per-view rounds right there.
Better than fights. I watched Kelvin Gastelum and Rick Story after they had just fought. They both came down to train at the gym, and them two sparring was fucking mad. Mint.
Really clean?
Clean. Nothing like the fight.
And that's after the fight.
It was like 50-50 the whole way. They were punching fuck out of each other. They were wrestling. They were grappling. They were back up. You know, it was just like 5 minutes was just like, boom, gone. It's like, wow, that was fucking sick. That was mad. Do you know what I mean?
They just wanted to run
just
again.
sick training. Proper sick training.
Want to show you one tweet? 5 days of being vegan.
Yeah.
Did you watch that Netflix documentary?
Yeah.
How was that like? What was that like?
I mean, honestly, I felt fresh. I felt clean. I felt light, fast. I didn't feel bad. I didn't do it for that long to see the downside of what it does to you. But like as a clean out, I felt fresh. I didn't feel bad. My skin was good. I was lean, healthy. So like if people wanted to do it for like as like a cleanse type of thing, do you know what I mean? I feel like it's not that bad. But it's not a lifestyle. Like, I mean, I eat red meat every day. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a vegan. Yeah. I just did it to test it out. But I don't think it's not longevity for a fighter.
Especially with the energy that you need through the day. Multiple training sessions.
Nah, it doesn't.
How long did he do it for?
Oh, 6 days.
6 days. That was the day before the last day.
Okay, we'll go with the next one. It's actually a mention of Bare Knuckle FC. So there's a top comment on a Reddit post here. Sorry, can you click that? What do you think of Bare Knuckle FC, first of all, and would you ever entertain competing there?
Yeah, I mean, I taught them all the time. Yeah.
Still?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting to hear.
Any names you want to call out?
Nah, I mean, it's never getting to the point where we've nailed down some numbers.
Yeah.
But it's always been like
Just flirting.
I think a lot of people like to see like the way I used to fight would do well in that, which I believe I would have. I believe I would have done well in that sport. Look, it all comes down to the numbers, and if they really want us that much, if they really want to do it, I'll fucking do it. But I ain't doing it for free.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not a sport that you jump into and be like, this is going to be fucking good. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Be a good check.
Even when you win, you fucking go in the hospital with busted hands, stitches, broken nose, losing teeth. Like, I ain't doing it for nothing. No, so, I'm not trying to start my career again and become a fighter all over again. Do you know what I mean?
For less than what you're worth.
For less than what I'm doing it.
So
do you know
if
what
they're
I mean?
listening to this,
if like Dave Feldman has my number, we've spoke multiple times.
He's a good businessman.
He wants to do it. He spoke about doing it. We've just never hit the numbers. Never taught. It's never like sat down and be like, right, let's fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? It's always been like, he's fiddled my balls a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And just people. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's multiple fights out there that I could do.
That's how negotiations go.
Yeah. So like, if it come down to it and it happened, then I'll always be a fighter and I'll never not be a fighter. But it's got to be like, it's got to make sense to us.
Okay, really so if you're open to bare knuckle boxing, what do you think of Jorge's promotion, bare knuckle MMA?
Yeah,
are you a fan of that?
Yeah.
Would you compete in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. So the gloves in MMA, what everyone gets fucking confused about, the gloves in MMA are not gloves. You're fighting MMA with a wrap on to stop breaking your fucking hands. That's not a boxing glove. That's not a glove. So the fights last longer. It's a wrap to stop you from, because the original sport was a 30-minute fight and then you'd go on to the next fight because it was a tournament.
Damn.
So what would happen is Tank Abbott was the first one to do it. He was like, I'll wear wraps so I'd save my hands because he would used to knock people out. So then he can compete in the next one. Guys will win in fights but having to pull out because they broke the hand.
Yes.
That's what a glove. That's what an MMA glove is.
It's really not.
It's not a glove. You're fighting bare knuckle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when you take them wraps off, now your shot selection has to be higher. You have to be known that if I hit you in the wrong spot, if I punch your elbow or you hit him on the top of the head, you don't hit the marks. You could bust your hand up, and that just makes the fight more real.
Yes, and
because
and
now
changes the game again.
Changes the game again. Like you throw a right hand and you turn your knuckle over and you bust your thumb or whatever. However, whatever happens, now your biggest weapon's out the game now.
Yeah. For example,
so that's now changing the game.
If Israel Adesanya fought in bare knuckle MMA, his whole style would change.
Yeah.
Because he'd probably kick more.
That's what we said this. We said this at the beginning. Like everyone now is training to do 3 5-minute rounds under this skill set, under this rule pattern, with these gloves on. Everyone's just training to do that. The growth of the sport is like now bare knuckles becoming more popular, so now they're taking the gloves off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine wrestling exchanges.
It's
hammer
another,
fist,
yeah,
someone's here.
it's another aspect that you could be winning in bare knuckle MMA. You could be beating the piss out of someone, smashing him, but he's just tough enough to take the shots, or you haven't quite found the shot to land to stop him. You bust your hand, you go back to the next round. Now you can't punch him. Now he takes you down, he beats you up.
Yep.
Where you just didn't hit the marks. Do you know what I mean?
And think about how different the grappling would be as well. Like there is a lot of grip with the leather. There's also a lot of times where people grab it, stop different things.
Yeah, the wrist control.
Even
Like the wrist control. If you get this is not legal. So if you've got that and you can't get that wrist back, do you know what I mean? Where you got an open glove and there's no glove, another aspect what's completely different.
Yeah, I
but yeah, if you're saying the fight bare knuckle, yes, I believe in it. Yes, it's another element of the fighters. Where fighters have to be willing and known that you could lose a fight on throwing the wrong punch or landing the wrong shot.
No matter how good you're doing.
No matter how good you're doing.
Isn't it more risky on the human body as well?
100%. Bone-on-bone contact is not fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Like like I say it all the time to the guys, like in the gym, kicking someone and punching someone hurts. It just hurts way more getting kicked and punched. Sure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you've won fights, you win fights. You come out that fight and you're buzzing because you won, you're excited, you're happy. The next day you're still limping.
Yep.
That's a fight.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Shin on shin is
that
shit's the worst.
You see a lot of injuries with the UFC and these gloves, with boxing gloves, boxing in general, with MMA, boxing, all these sports. There's a lot of people that get injured from them. It could be a permanent injury, it could be temporary, whatever. But you're putting your body on the line. I saw Spencer Fisher. He's got dementia because of the sport now. Is the UFC, and he's recently retired and everything. Does the UFC help with any these kind of stuff?
No.
He had a good run with the UFC.
No.
I
mean, they look after you. They look after you when you're fighting and you're contracted to the UFC. They done my jaw, got my teeth, had brain scans, had physicals. So they look after you when you're fighting. But like outside now, like I'm nothing to the UFC now.
How do you guys feel about that? Like you've done the job, the contract is finished.
It hurts a little bit for what I did, and it hurts a little bit. You know what I mean? Just like knowing that I did all these things and blah blah blah, whatever. But like at the end of the day, we're dogs fighting each other,
and they're running a business.
They're running a business.
We're subcontractors.
I would love to be able to be the one that would be like change the game so it's like this and it's on a fair playing field and everyone gets the same and it's all rosy and everyone's making money and everyone's happy and but that's not life.
No.
Yeah.
That's not business. That's not life. Do you know what I mean?
There could be like a bit of a stepping stone.
100%. The sport's going to change.
Yeah,
the sport's going to change, like any sport really. Like we said before, the UFC is really in the opening of its birth to the world. So like the sport's going to change eventually. I think like I said, maybe the rule sets, maybe the judging, maybe like little things here and there, all that's going to change. But like finance is going to change. Structure is going to change. The business is going to change. It's like anything, like any sport.
If you had to change one thing about the UFC, what would that be?
One thing about the UFC. The one thing that I would change about the UFC is the UFC isn't this pedestal that people will fight in the UFC for free just because they're fighting in the UFC. The fuck's the UFC?
Just 3 letters.
It's just your 3 letters. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That the UFC have built a brand, built a company, made it the ultimate to be number one. And that's their business. That's what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? But us as fighters, like just to fight in the UFC doesn't mean any more or less than fighting in PFL or fighting in Pride or fighting in Urban, or fighting fucking Super Fight, or fighting Total Combat back home in England. A fight's a fight.
Is
Do
there
you know
people
what I
that
mean?
don't get paid on the UFC?
Anyone that doesn't get paid, no. Like, yeah, everyone gets paid. I mean, they don't get paid a lot, but yeah. They get paid. So yeah, that's the one thing I would change about the UFC is the UFC, the business and the company isn't higher than what the athletes are. Do you know what I mean?
Than the human.
Do you know what I mean?
himself.
Because the UFC have put the UFC logo branding as the top, the pinnacle, the best of the best, the prime, and they've sold it that way, and that's their business line. So that makes everyone else worthless under the UFC logo. No one will be ever bigger than the UFC.
Because that's how they sold it.
That's how they've sold it.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So that would be one thing that I've changed is that the fighters are what the sport is. The fighters, there's no fighters, there's no fights. They make no money. Do you know what I mean?
And it's a business.
And that's a business itself. So that would be, I'd say that would probably be the main thing. Yeah.
It's only going to take one correct voice, like for maybe healthcare post-retirement and whatever, or maybe just a little bit of payout for injuries or something. There's going to be one right voice to accelerate that process. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a
it's a long process, and there's a lot of big honchos involved. So I don't think it's going to be an overnight thing.
No.
But yeah, it's a sport, and it's a global sport now. And like anything on the global sports, it's recognized in the sea. Like, if you look at what an NFL football player makes, then if you look at what Conor McGregor makes, which is amazing money outside of the UFC, then you look at the guy who's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, what they make compared to what he makes. Yeah, it's
so
yeah,
fun.
it's so like just to get to the UFC and be in the UFC isn't enough.
Like you're getting paid 5,
You're
5,
getting
10 and 10.
10 and 10, do you know what I mean? You still have to work a normal job, you know what I mean?
How much does a fighter get?
The lowest, it was 12 and 12.
Now
Now
is
it's
the
12 and
latest one,
12.
yeah.
12,000.
12,000 US dollars to fight, another $12,000 to win. So $22,000.
Then you get
then
tax,
you get tax,
sponsors.
then you get sponsors, then you get your 10%, then you get
Gym manager.
whatever.
So you end up with enough to eat.
If that, yeah. Like I remember being on the UFC and I won the Ultimate Fighter, and I was on a 12-fight contract. That was when I won the Ultimate Fighter. Like, I didn't think that I was like, oh, you win this 6-figure contract. This piece of paper that you've won has got 6 figures on it, but you've got to win all these fights to get that 6 figures. Do you know what I mean? So that's 12 fights in the UFC that you got to win to get $1 million. So I think I started off in the UFC on 5 and 5. And then you have to take that $5,000, transfer it back to pounds, which is $2.5 grand, $3 grand.
And you
Paying
really
your
committed.
10%. So I was fighting and winning in the UFC for less than 10 grand.
And you've already committed your entire life just to get to making that.
And
there's no money in it.
Yeah.
Unless you're at the top.
I didn't start making money until the very end of my career. On my last few fights in my UFC, where I was on okay money. It wasn't life-changing money. I had to save, had to scrape, had to survive.
I'd love to know what's the UFC revenue each year.
Billions.
Dana knows how to run a business.
Yeah, that's a business.
Okay, so moving on to our last segment, we'll mention a few fights that are coming up, like in the media, and some will be close, some will be a bit further. I'll just get your opinion on it, professional opinion.
Yep.
So the first one will be the main event in 2 weeks, Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. What do you think about this fight?
It's interesting now that all the background little push and shovel that they had in the fight. I do believe Strickland is mentally stronger than du Plessis. I do believe that he's mentally stronger, tougher. But I believe du Plessis has been fighting good. He's coming into his prime, and I do believe that he believes he's better. Honestly, it could be a long fight.
Yeah.
It could be a long fight, back and forth fight. Might even go the distance.
Do you think Duplessis' wrestling will play a big factor?
No.
No?
I think Strickland's takedown defense will be good enough to defend it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe Rob should have beat Duplessis, but he didn't turn up.
That was a hard fight to watch.
Hard fight to watch. I think Rob's so much better than that.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And he looked good in that first round too.
Yeah.
But okay, so before we move to the next fight, what's your pick? Strickland or Duplessis? Final pick.
Strickland decision.
Strickland decision. Okay.
What do you think?
I'll probably have to agree with that. And my biggest factor would probably be Sean's pace. And going over 5 rounds.
I think he can just grind like a power punch wrestler. I think he can just grind that fight out.
Yeah.
I think he can just grind it out and stay in it and battle. Like, I think Duplessis will have his moments in the fight and he'll have his opportunities and it'll be back and forth. But I think ultimately the grind will probably come down to Strickland just being at that, fighting at that little bit higher pace.
I also don't believe Duplessis is that great. Honestly, I think the division's pretty shallow.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Do you see a knockout at all? Or no?
Nah, I don't. Nah, I don't see. Like, obviously it could happen. Do you know what I mean? It's a fight, but like, I think it's going to be a longer drawn out fight.
Yeah.
Go to the next one. Sorry, one second.
We'll move to the next fight. Floyd Mayweather and Manny might run it back as an exhibition. What do you think of that?
Wolf
Just retire?
Yeah, Wolf tickets. Yeah. I mean, it's not a fight. It's like it's an exhibition to showcase. It's not a fight. It's not two men trying to hurt each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that to the Strickland and Duplessis fight, completely different. Two young, hungry kids who are fighting for the title that want to kill each other. That's a fight.
Yeah.
Where Floyd and I
show.
don't really give a fuck. Like, honestly, they should have fought each other in the prime and see who wanted to fight.
Even their competitive fight wasn't even in their prime. So
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the next one then. We've got a fight coming months, Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Two interesting styles. I really like their striking, real polished.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good competitive fight.
Really, yeah, very explosive, compact, powerful. I'd say Yan's probably like on paper a little bit more like technically better. I think Song Yadong is another one of them specimen guys. Freak athlete, very powerful, very explosive. Be my fight.
So we've got Petr Yan coming in at $1.65 and Song Yadong at $2.20.
No, I wouldn't mind putting some money on Song.
On Song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, like, he's good.
He is a good
He's
fighter.
fucking good.
Did you watch his fight with Corey Sandhagen?
Yeah.
Corey's elbows are dangerous,
Yeah.
hey?
Yeah.
Corey's another very good fighter.
And the next one is, I don't know, is this been announced? Volks and Topuria?
Yes, that's the UFC
Yeah.
pay-per-view after Strickland versus Duplessis.
Yeah.
Great matchup right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Training with Volk and knowing Volk and seeing like what he does, I think he's the full package of what an MMA fighter should be.
When we talk about well-rounded.
Well-rounded.
You've seen a lot of MMA
can
fighters.
win in all areas. He can wrestle the wrestlers. He can box the boxers. He can kickbox the kickboxers. And he's 5'5", 5'6". Do you know what I mean? He's unbelievable. Super strong. He's the whole package. He really is. I see it being very cautious at the start.
Is that because of Topuria's power? Yep.
And Topuria is a clean power offensive fighter.
With solid jiu-jitsu
Jiu-jitsu too. Yeah. So I think he's going to be very elusive and moving, and I think leg kicks is going to be like the way how he fought Max in the first one. I think leg kicks is going to be because Alex, for being so short, fights really good at long range.
Yes,
it's
and
hard
he's actually
to hit
got
him.
a like deceptively long reach.
Yeah,
How tall is Topuria?
He's 1 inch taller than Volk.
Yeah,
so I think
so
Volk's 5'6", Topuria's 5'7".
5'7", yeah, something like that. Yeah, so.
And very different styles. Topuria is that plodding, no kicks in his game.
I think he's like that. That'll favor Alex. Alex is very elusive, circles, angles out, moves, changes his range from short range to long range super quick. That plodding style could be the beginning of the end to fight Volk.
Like Connor Dustin too.
Yeah.
Could get that leg chewed.
Yeah.
Do you think the fights with Islam could affect Volks?
Well, like, I thought it was too soon coming back from no camp, fighting the number one guy in the world for a world title, then getting stopped in the first round with a head kick. Coming back, fighting 3-4 months later was a little bit too soon. But Joe and all the boys said that, like, he's in great spirits, he's training great, his body's good. He's a freak. He's a freak, or not like. He's been in the UFC a long time. He's had a lot of camps, and he trains insane with his conditioning program, his strength and conditioning, and putting it all together for so long. Like, I don't even know how his body is still holding up. He's a freak.
Yeah, he is a great example for fighters coming up.
Yeah.
No special gifts.
Yeah, nah.
It's nothing given to him.
Yeah.
It's all hard work.
Hard work, working, and putting themselves in them positions to grow, learn. Like you said, he's the prime example for like kids to look up to, and he's right here on our doorstep. He's in Wollongong. Like, kids should learn from him.
And like you said at the beginning of your career, you didn't have someone to tell your parents, hey, look at this guy.
Yeah.
Look at all the Australian people that can look at Volk. Look at what Rob did to get to the top as well, you know, like, and Volk being like one of the greatest. Like, it's a great example for us.
It's huge. It's huge. Like, two of the best guys is from half an hour away from each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, two world champions live half an hour away from each other. Where, like, the sport should be in the newspaper, on the TV, following Alex, following Rob, following Jamie, following
where's
Josh.
the coverage?
Like, where's the coverage? Where's this media for, like, this country's developing these guys. Like, this country's got that many good guys.
Do you think our media wants that masculinity in the youth?
No. The world's changed in a pitiful way.
That's why we're not going to see it.
No, you're right. And that's a whole different subject again.
Yeah.
But I just stay true to what we are and what we do, and the truth will always come out.
So
100%.
You have obviously like complimented Volk's work ethic. Do you think his X factor is that, or do you think his mentality and mindset towards the game would outweigh that work ethic?
No, it's 50-50.
Both?
Yeah.
It's those two?
It's his mindset and his work rate, his mindset, his philosophies, his...
Philosophies. So can you maybe give us a little bit more light on how he thinks about the game as a whole? I would love to know.
Like, it's just like everyone who's at that level of like world championship levels, like, it's what you eat, breathe, sleep, study, think about, talk about. And I think it's just like he can look at someone and be like, he's really, really good at this, so I'm going to do this, which is going to beat him. I was a little bit ignorant and arrogant, where if I went against a good grappler or a good wrestler or a good boxer, I'd be like, nah, I'm going to knock him out. Or nah, I'm going to submit him. Nah, I'm going to take him down. So I would like put myself into their best instead of being fucking smart and be like, no, if he does this, I'll do this. Where I think that's what Volk does. He like visualizes, sees, he does this, right now I'm going to do this, I'm going to work on this to get this, and then fight him where he's at his weakest, not fight him where he's at his best. And that's the thing, that was a couple of the mistakes that I made against the guys who I fought. Like, I went to fight them in their best area and didn't take it into my best area. Yeah, that was And that's what he excels at.
And then it's everything coupled with that like chess mindset.
Mindset, yeah. Yeah, and I think he studied. I still think he studies, even though he's a champion, even though he's pound for pound number 1 or 2. I still think he studies, and I still believe that because he talks about other guys' fights. Oh yeah, did you see that fight? Do you know what I mean? So like, he's watching, he's seeing it, he's like, oh yeah, he's in it.
Like, look how fast the sport is growing. So if you don't grow with it, like you won't stay with it.
Yeah.
You will get left behind.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So even as a champion,
even the time that I've been out, like the sport's changed.
Yeah.
The sport's grown. The level of talent's better. The kids is just fucking flying now.
Good.
Another good fight, very explosive fight. If Rob wrestles, Rob can finish him.
Do you think?
I think if Rob just strikes, I think Paulo Costa will probably win. Yeah, I think Rob fights his best when he mixes.
Yes.
He uses that elusive strike because Rob's not a good striker. Rob is not a clean striker. Rob's very quick, agile, explosive. But when he mixes it, if you look at most of his knockouts at Rob's hand, it all comes from his wrestling and grappling.
And coupling that with the like footwork.
Yeah, movement,
very
not
hard
getting
to-
hit on the outside, mixing it up. I think he could finish, but ultimately, if he stays on just that boxing, strike, and kickboxing mentality, I think Costa's too big, too powerful, being able to take his shots, and Rob could be in danger.
So do you think there was a change before Rob's last fight mentally with striking or anything?
I don't think just one fight. I think it's just like over time, whether it's different coaches, different training patterns, different mindset, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not in Rob's camp.
Yep.
That will be a question for him. But I do feel Rob fights best when he mixes his wrestling and grappling with his striking. I don't think Rob is a great striker. I don't.
It's the mix.
He has to mix it. Yeah, has to mix it. I feel Rob is a grappler that's fast and explosive.
That's a good way to put
It's
it.
a good way. Yeah, it's he's a grappler that like he's not a boxer who's powerful, and he's not a kickboxer that's got good rhythm. I feel like he's got good grappling and good wrestling, but he's super explosive. So once he mixes that together, that's when I feel he fights his best.
So do you think he bounces back and makes that work? Do you think he gets the win here against Paulo?
Honestly,
Paulo hasn't fought in a while either.
Yeah, it's a hard. Like it's not a definite. I'm not like yes he will. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not full confident that he will. I could see Costa overpowering him and being too much and too aggressive, too powerful, too strong, and Rob fading later in the fight. But then I could also see Rob coming back and doing it and taking him down and catching him and
using his experience.
But I'm not like I wouldn't put money on it. Honestly,
Might be touching
honestly,
that fight.
yeah, I wouldn't cash in on it.
Man. We'll just go to the last part of the show. Top three opponents the toughest opponents you've ever fought.
Toughest to fought, like Barboza, but being the best athlete, the fastest, the hardest to hit, the fastest, like conditioning wise, Barboza's top. Like after that fight, I was fucking hurting after that fight.
I was gonna say, so that left like a mark in your brain, like this guy
I haven't fought
was
an athlete as good as Barboza.
dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fast. Like he wasn't that powerful. Like in the fight when we were both hitting and punching each other, he wasn't that powerful, but his speed was just noticeably different level to mine. So he was, I'd say Barboza.
Just before that, I know because you said it's the toughest fight you've ever had. What did you learn? What did you learn the most from that fight in particular?
That I've had championship mindset.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, had championship mindset because it was a close fight, and a lot of people thought that I won, but I feel like I was just trailing. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like I was getting beat up, but it wasn't like I was beating him up either. I feel like I was just trailing in the fight. I was like, I did some good things. He did some good things. I feel his speed was the biggest problem in the fight. But I felt like fighting him and going the distance and fight tonight, I felt like I got my championship mindset after that. Like I knew that I could fight anyone. Like at the time when I fought him, he was like the scariest dude on the roster. Like no one wanted to fight him.
He's
and
still
I was
scary.
Like, yeah, and I was like, I'll fight him.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? So I knew in that mindset after the fight, I was just like, well, if everyone's scared of him and he's going to be the next tower to be the next, do you know what I mean? Like
this is an opportunity as well. So
and then like Masvidal would probably be like, when we were fighting each other, like obviously his upbringing, his background, his like just his realness of like street fighting, real fighting. He's trying to kill you. I'm trying to kill him. Like that level was like championship level.
You could feel an element in there.
Feel that element of like, this is what world championship levels like, fighting each other.
What do you think about him boxing Nate Diaz? Sorry, Kai.
Just not really interested
business?
again.
It's just business. I'm not interested in it. Yeah. It'll probably be a decent little scrap, but it'll not be like, you could probably go to California, or you could go to a local show in Sydney, or you could go to a local show back in England and watch proper young kids boxing, fighting each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's just hanging on to the back of that like circus of making money whilst you're getting a little bit older. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like fair play at them. If like, look, they give me the opportunity to fight them and jump in and make fucking 10 mil, like who'd be stupid enough not to do that? Do you know what I mean? But like, am I interested in it? Not really.
They've got Edson, Masvidal.
The last one, probably Gray Maynard. Yeah, Gray Maynard. Physically strong, completely different. I lost the first round on 3 takedowns, but I didn't get hurt, and I showed 3 takedown get-ups, reversals, getting back to my feet, which I feel like set the knockout up.
Yep.
I feel like in them 3 takedowns, if he pinned us at the end of every 3, like, do you know what I mean? I was struggling to get back up. The knockout probably wouldn't have happened.
The whole like stepping stone, the chain
the
reaction
stepping stones
changes.
of to get to what that knockout actually means and how to get to it. I feel like started off like, he's obviously a Division 1 All-American wrestler. I wasn't ever going to match him in the wrestling. I didn't try to take him down, but I had to like keep the fight where I needed to keep the fight, keep working, stepping, chipping, losing the first round to get my range in the second round and clipping him. So yeah, that was like, I mean, all them guys is elite level guys.
For sure. That's a serious set of names right there.
They're elite level guys, and split decision loss on Masvidal and Barboza, and I knocked out Maynard. So I knew I was at that level. I knew I was at that level of ability. I knew I was at that level of like fighter's mindset and what I could do. But just swings, could have done this, should have done this, didn't do that, should have done that. Never happened.
Some fine margins.
Yeah,
that's the game.
Yeah, that's the game. That's the game, and that's the bitter pill to swallow now. And now the next part of the journey is trying to get the guys to do better than what I do. Trying to get the young kids to get to that next level getting from 5 to 10 to 5 to 1. Trying to, do you know what I mean? Like that's the game.
Yep. Since we did the top toughest, what was the top easiest 3 fights you had?
There is no easy fights. Regardless of how easy or how quick you knock someone out, it's still not easy getting in there to knock someone out. Do you know what I mean? Yes, you might do the right things and knock them out and be like, oh shit, that was good. I did that real good. Yeah. But like, still, it's the weeks of preparation. It's the walking to the cage. It's the mindset, all that. So nothing's never easy in the sense of like, the most fun fight that I had was George Sotiropoulos. That was the only one guy that I ever had bad feelings.
Yeah.
Throughout my whole fighting career, he's the only one guy that we had bad feelings and didn't like each other, and we were trying to hurt each other. So that was the one that I had the most fun in.
Does preparing for a fight like that is preparing
Better.
for a fight that
Better.
better? Yeah.
100%. I wish every fight was like that.
More fuel.
More fuel. Like I was fucking dialed in. Like didn't mess up on the drink, didn't mess up on the food, slept when I had to sleep, I fucking trained when I had to train, and I was just like, just on. Do you know, there's just one of them camps where it was just like, I was fucking going to do it, and like, I don't care what he came in with, I don't care how good he was, I don't care who the fuck you are, I was going for it.
You were locked
Like,
in.
yeah, I was locked in. And that was one of the fights too where I hit that flow state. Yeah.
Sweet. That was
Cool.
a
Right, man.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Do you have
for
anything
appreciate
else
that.
you want to mention? Any fighters coming up or anything?
No,
for
I mean
anyone to hear?
we're a local based gym. We've got a heap of young kids, which is really new to us. I didn't really have teenagers before. I always had men. So like the last few months, the last few months, it's been a rise in the teens that we've been getting, and just the fun it is training them kids that want it. Do you know what I mean? I know not every one of them kids is going to get it and going to drive and do it, but you know what I mean? It's just the fun that you have with them, and the excitement that they bring in, that they're just fueled up to train. It's brought a new lease of life to me.
Yeah.
And it makes me get better, makes me fucking study more, makes me train harder, makes me give them better. Do you know what I mean? Which I only think will fuel us as a team, as a fight gym to produce better. Do you know what I mean? Yes, along the road you're going to win, you're going to lose, you're going to fucking have good fights, you're going to have bad. It's part of the game. But in the longevity of it, like we talked about before, these kids are the next kids, which is going to bring on the next kids, and it's longevity. And I'm in this sport now for forever. Yeah. You're not getting me out of it. Unfortunately, I'm here to stay.
This has been amazing. Thank you for having us.
No,
Thank you,
thank you
Ross.
for coming up, man.
Thank you.
On the chair with Ross Pearson.